The jungle welcomes you with a wall of green. It's a living, breathing place. I stepped into its embrace, leaving the modern world far behind. The air was thick, heavy with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. Sunlight struggled to pierce the dense canopy above, casting strange dancing shadows on the forest floor. Every step was a new discovery. My senses were on high alert. You have to be sharp out here. One mistake, one moment of carelessness, and the jungle can swallow you whole. It's a test of survival from the very first moment. This is where you find out what you're truly made of. Excitement pulsed through my veins, mixed with a healthy dose of fear. Fear is good. It keeps you alive. It's a natural response to an environment where you are no longer at the top of the food chain. I checked my gear, a trusty knife, a water bottle, and a small pack with the essentials. The sounds of the jungle were a constant symphony of buzzing insects, distant calls of unknown creatures, and the rustle of leaves. It was a language I needed to learn quickly. The path ahead was not clear. I had to forge my own, pushing through thick ferns and tangled vines that seemed to grab at my clothes. My immediate goal was to find a source of fresh water. Water is life. Without it, you won't last more than a few days in this heat. I followed the slope of the land, knowing that water always flows downhill. The ground was uneven, a treacherous carpet of roots and rocks hidden beneath the foliage. I moved slowly, deliberately, placing each foot with care. A twisted ankle out here is a death sentence. The humidity was relentless, soaking my shirt with sweat. But this is the price of admission to one of the world's last great wildernesses. It's tough, but it's also magnificent. Every shadow could hide a threat. A venomous snake, a territorial predator, or just a simple hole to fall into. You must constantly scan your surroundings, looking for signs. A broken branch, an unusual track in the mud, a sudden silence in the chorus of jungle sounds. All these are clues. I felt a profound sense of being alone, a tiny human figure against the immense power of nature. But being alone also means you can rely only on yourself. Your wits, your training, and your will to survive are your greatest assets. The adventure had truly begun. The jungle is not your friend. It's a place of constant struggle where every creature is fighting for survival. As I pushed deeper, the challenges grew more intense. I crossed a fast-flowing river, the current pulling at my legs, threatening to sweep me away. The rocks were slippery with green algae, making every step a gamble. I used a long, sturdy branch as a support, testing the riverbed before committing my weight. Making it to the other side was a small victory, but it left me exhausted and soaked. The jungle doesn't give you anything for free. You have to earn it. Later that day, I had my first major encounter. I was searching for edible plants when I heard a low growl from the undergrowth. I froze. Slowly, I turned my head and saw it. A large jaguar, its spotted coat a perfect camouflage against the dappled light. It was magnificent but deadly. Its eyes were locked on me, assessing the threat. My heart was pounding in my chest, but I knew I had to stay calm. Running is the worst thing you can do. It triggers the predator's chase instinct. I had to stand my ground and make myself look bigger. I slowly raised my arms, my pack still on my back, trying to appear as large and intimidating as possible. I shouted, a loud guttural roar of my own. It's a bluff, a game of nerve. You're showing the animal that you are not easy prey, that a fight with you will be costly. The jaguar stared for what felt like an eternity, its tail twitching. It was a tense standoff, a primal negotiation between two species. It wasn't about aggression, it was about territory and respect. I was the intruder in its home, and I had to prove I wasn't a threat or a meal. Finally, with a dismissive snort, the big cat turned and melted back into the shadows. The relief was immense, washing over me in a cold wave. That encounter was a stark reminder of the law of the jungle. Eat or be eaten. It drains your energy, physically and mentally. I took a moment to compose myself, my hands still shaking slightly. Survival here is a full-time job. You can never let your guard down, not even for a second. The jungle is always watching, always testing you. And I knew more tests were yet to come. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, I started looking for a safe place to spend the night. Finding shelter is a top priority before darkness falls. The jungle transforms at night, becoming a much more dangerous place as nocturnal predators begin their hunt. I found a small alcove in a rock face, a natural overhang that would offer some protection from the elements and from anything creeping on the ground. It wasn't a five-star hotel, but out here, it was a palace. It was defensible and dry, all you can ask for. As I was clearing the area of loose rocks and leaves, I heard a faint sound. It was a tiny, desperate chirp, almost lost in the evening chorus of insects and frogs. I stopped and listened intently. There it was again, a weak but persistent call for help. Curiosity got the better of me. In the wild, investigating unusual sounds can be risky, but this sounded different. It didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like something small and vulnerable. I followed the sound. moving cautiously towards a thick, thorny bush near my makeshift camp. Peering through the tangled branches, I saw the source of the sound. A small, brilliantly colored bird, no bigger than my hand, was trapped. Its wing was caught in a lattice of sharp thorns, and it was twisting frantically, only making its situation worse. One of its delicate wings was bent at an unnatural angle. It was clearly broken. The poor creature was exhausted and terrified. Its bright feathers, a mix of sapphire blue and emerald green, were ruffled and dirty. It looked at me with its tiny black eyes, and I could see the panic in them. My first instinct was to help, but helping this bird was not a simple task. The bush was a fortress of thorns, each one like a tiny dagger. To reach the bird, I would have to carefully cut my way through, risking injury. In the jungle, even a small cut can become infected and lead to serious trouble. It was a calculated risk. I could have ignored the bird and focused on my own survival. That would have been the logical choice. But sometimes survival isn't just about you. It's about compassion. I made my decision. I was going to get that bird out. I took out my knife, its steel blade glinting in the fading light. Slowly and methodically, I began to cut away the thorny vines, one by one. The thorns snagged my clothes and scratched my hands, drawing small beads of blood. I ignored the sting. I had to be gentle, careful not to startle the bird further or cause the thorns to dig deeper into its fragile wing. I spoke to it in a low, calm voice, trying to soothe its fear. Animals can sense your intentions. They know when you are there to help. The little bird seemed to understand, its frantic struggles slowly subsiding as I got closer. After several minutes of careful work, I finally cleared a path. I reached in, my hand moving slowly, and gently cupped the bird. It was trembling, its little heart beating like a drum against my palm. With my other hand, I carefully worked the last thorn free from its wing. It was free. I pulled it out of the bush and held it securely, examining the damage. The wing was definitely broken. It wouldn't be able to fly on its own. Leaving it on the ground would be a death sentence for it. A snake or some other predator would find it in minutes. I had to do more. I carried the bird back to my shelter and fashioned a tiny splint for its wing using a twig and a strip of cloth from my pack. I found some wild berries I knew were safe and crushed them, offering the juice to the bird on my fingertip. It drank greedily. Over the next 2 days, I cared for my little patient. I shared my food and water and kept it safe and warm at night. We were an unlikely team, a man and a tiny bird, surviving together against the odds. During that time, I could hear a flock of similar birds calling from the high canopy. I knew that was its family. On the third morning, the bird seemed stronger. It hopped around my camp, flapping its good wing. I removed the splint, and it flexed the injured one carefully. It was time. I climbed to a high point, a rocky outcrop that gave me a clear view of the sky. The flock was nearby, their calls echoing through the valley. I held the bird up in my open palm. It looked at me one last time. Then with a powerful push, it launched into the air. It flew, a little wobbly at first, but then stronger, soaring up to join its family. Seeing it fly free back where it belonged was a greater reward than any treasure. That's the real spirit of adventure.